Good morning. Here we are to do some math. We're going to do section 9.1 on page 352. Okay, so this chapter so far, we're going to be doing exponents, which are super fun and pretty easy to do on your calculator as well. For those of you that need to use your calculator, you might have to experiment a little bit to figure out which buttons do what, but it should be a Y to the X button, or maybe an X to the Y button, or possibly a little mountain button. So you'll just have to play with which one means what. If it's a button that looks like one of these, it means you can put in any exponent that you want. Some of you will have an X squared button, and that automatically squares things for you. Some of you will have an X cubed button, and that will automatically cube things for you, or to the third power. But if you need something more than that, you can use one of these buttons. And usually what you do is you do like a 4 to the power of whatever button you have. Let's say it's this one. I would push that button, and then to the power of 4. That would be this problem right there. Okay, so that's how you try and use those buttons. You'll have to kind of experiment to see which order to do them in and which ones mean what. But that's kind of a quick summary of what you'll be looking for. Hold on, I dropped my eraser. Okay, so let's look at example number 1 on page 352. Write the product using exponents. Okay, so it's, if there's parentheses like there is in example number 1, you have to keep those parentheses when you put it in your calculator or when you're writing it out, otherwise it will be wrong because it's not the same thing as not keeping it in parentheses, okay? So what we do is we look at letter A, and it says -7, and we have 3 of them, right? So to write it as an exponent, we say, okay, we have -7, we keep it in our parentheses, and we say we have 3 of them, okay? So it's -7 to the third power. If you're plugging that into your calculator, you have to use the parentheses too, otherwise it will give you the wrong answer, okay? Let's look at B. Pi's and R's. There's pi times R, right? It's pi times R. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to just count up how many of each one we have. So pi, how many of those do we have? 1, 2. Okay, I got 2 of those. R, how many of those do I have? 1, 2, 3. I got 3 of those. That would be written in exponent form. Pi squared, R to the third. Okay. All right, so let's look at example number 2. Example number 2 says -2 to the 4th power, and it wants you to evaluate it. So now is when you can use your calculator. We'll want to plug it into our calculator exactly like this, okay? So you'll want to use the parentheses because the difference is this. If I use the parentheses, it does this. -2 times -2, which is what this is, times it 4 times. If I don't use parentheses and I just put this into my calculator, it will do this. Do you see the difference? It's not doing -2 times -2 times -2 times -2. It's just doing 2 to the 4th power and using that negative up front. So it's a totally different problem. So if there's parentheses, you'll want to make sure you use those parentheses when you plug it into your calculator. So go ahead and plug that into your calculator. You should get a positive, because it's an even exponent, positive 16. Because it's -2 times -2, which is positive 4, times -2 would be -8, times -2 would be positive 16. Okay? But you can use your calculator. All right, let's look at example. If you didn't get 16 for your answer, what it means is you need to work on figuring out how to plug it into your calculator differently so that you learn the correct way to put it in there, because you should get a positive 16 for your answer, okay? Our next one is -2 to the 4th, and this is what I was just talking about earlier. Go ahead and plug that into your calculator. You don't need parentheses. There's no parentheses in the problem. We're only doing 2 to the 4th, and then we're having a negative in our answer. So in this case, we do 2 to the 4th, which is 16, but we have this negative out front. We leave it there. This answer would be -16. If you plug it into your calculator without the parentheses like it's shown here, you'll get the correct answer. So I want you to experiment with your calculator. Make sure you're getting the correct answers for these problems before you go on, okay? All right. let's just review really quickly. This is in our book, okay? This is called the exponent. This is called the base, and this whole thing is called a power. Lots of times to the power of, you'll hear that term, to the power of 4. Well, in our book, this whole thing right here is called the power. This is the exponent, this is the base. Okay? All right, example number 3. Evaluate that expression. Okay, we need to make sure we do our order of operations. Plus 2 times 3 to the 4th. And our order of operations is parentheses. Do we have any of those? Okay, we don't have any parentheses. So what is it? What do we do next? Parentheses, exponents is next in our order of operations, right? So we do have an exponent, so we're going to want to go ahead and do that. So we leave 3 plus 2 alone, and we go ahead and do 3 to the 4th. 3 to the 4th is 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, which is 81. Do it in your calculator. If you need to figure out what 3 to the 4th is, go ahead and do that in your calculator. Okay, now order of operations says next we're supposed to do multiplication and division, right? So I have multiplication right here. It's just to remember. There you go. Multiplication I have right here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Next, 2 times 81 is 162. Now I can add them together and get a total of 165. Okay? All right. Let's do example 3B. Example 3B. We have 3 to the 3rd minus 8 squared divided by 2. All right, we're going to use our order of operations. Parentheses, are there any parentheses? No parentheses. We'll move on to exponents. I definitely have those. Let's go ahead and do those first. 3 to the 3rd, let's go ahead and get rid of that. What's 3 to the 3rd? 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. Okay, I have a minus. We have another set of parentheses, exponents right here, so we'll go ahead and do that. 8 squared is 64. All right, so now we've simplified our exponents. Now we do multiplication or division. I have a division problem right here, so let's go ahead and take care of that next. What's 64 divided by 2? Okay, it's 32. If you don't know, plug it into your calculator. Now we've done all multiplication, division, so now we can do adding and subtracting. 27 minus 32 is negative 5, and we're done. Okay, so those are examples for today. And example number 4, it just talks about the volume of the sphere, and it gives you the formula for the volume right there, 4 over 3 pi r cubed. R is the radius. So you're just going to plug in what information you have into that formula and solve it, which you can probably do all of that right in a row on your calculator. Okay, so look there for the formula of the volume of a sphere, 4 over 3 pi r cubed. Okay, and you're welcome to use the pi button on your calculator instead of 3.14 if you'd like. Okay, all right, you guys, I hope it goes well, and give me a call if you get stuck. Okay, have a good day. Bye.